Thank you for viewing this training on the Jeanne Clery Disclosure of Campus Security Policy and Campus Crime Statistics Act. This training satisfies the requirement for ongoing training regarding Campus Security Authority responsibilities under this federal law. This training will define what the Clery Act is and discuss the risk of noncompliance with this law. We will also review what the Clery Act has to do with you and your role with the university, as well as how you can help us maintain compliance. The Jeanne Clery Act was named in memory of 19-year-old Jeanne Clery, who was raped and murdered in her Lehigh University residence hall by a fellow student in 1986. After her death, her parents learned that there had been 38 other violent crimes at Lehigh in the 3 years prior to their daughter's death. As a result, they led the initiative to create the Clery Act, which is a consumer protection law that aims to provide transparency around campus crime policies and statistics. The premise of this law is that by being transparent about campus crime statistics, consumers can make more informed decisions about where they work and where they attend school. To comply with the Clery Act, we as an institution must know what the law entails and stay updated on amendments to the law, understand our responsibilities to consumers, and understand how to actively foster campus safety. The important tenets of the Clery Act are campus crime data, support for victims, and policies and procedures. We are required to share information about crime on our campus and our efforts to improve campus safety. We do this in part by publishing an annual security report each year. The ASR contains the preceding 3 years of campus crime statistics. ASRs must also include policy statements regarding but not limited to crime reporting, campus facility security and access, law enforcement authority, incidents of alcohol and drug use, and the prevention of and response to sexual assault, domestic or dating violence, and stalking. We are also required to provide accommodations and support to the reporting party of sexual assault, domestic violence, dating violence, and stalking. Lastly, we must outline specific policies and procedures in our ASR, including how we disseminate information through timely warnings and emergency notifications. Clery Act crime reporting is not strictly limited to events that occur on campus or within campus buildings and residences. Institutions must include statistics for crime that occur in any of these geographic areas. On campus could be anywhere, including academic buildings, on-campus student housing or residence halls, public property within campus bounds, public property immediately adjacent to the campus, non-campus buildings and property owned or controlled by the organization that are used for educational purposes and frequently used by students but not a part of the core campus, or those owned or controlled by a student organization officially recognized by the institution. Non-campus property includes locations such as Greek houses, study abroad trips, athletics team hotels, and university-sponsored activity locations. We make sure to request statistics from outside jurisdictions for these locations, which are ultimately reflected in our annual crime statistics. This slide outlines the Clery reportable offenses that are reflected in our annual crime statistics. These include homicides, sex offenses, robbery, aggravated assault, burglary, motor vehicle theft, arson, and hate crimes. In the 2013 VAWA Act, amendments to the Clery Act include dating violence, domestic violence, and stalking. Arrests and disciplinary referrals are also captured for liquor law violations, drug law violations, and illegal weapons possession. Victims of sexual assault, domestic violence, dating violence, and stalking have specific rights, options, and resources guaranteed to them by the Clery Act. Under prevention education, institutions are required to provide students and employees on an introductory and ongoing basis prevention and awareness programs on the crimes covered in the preceding slide. These programs must include material on bystander intervention and risk reduction aimed at recognizing the warning signs of these crimes. Under student and employee rights, institutions must provide victims of the crimes covered in the preceding slide with a written explanation of their rights. These rights include the option for a relocation or change of housing, transportation, or academic course assignment. They also include access to counseling services, legal services, and law enforcement notification. Under disciplinary proceedings, it's outlined that all disciplinary proceedings must be conducted by trained parties at the institution, either individuals or panels of trained persons. Proceedings are required to be prompt, fair, and impartial, and must confer certain procedural rights to both the accuser and the accused. One of the ways we meet the disclosure requirement of the Act and make crime data available is through the daily crime log, which is accessible on the University Police Department website. It captures all crime or criminal offenses, not necessarily all incidents that occur within our Clery geography. The daily crime log contains criminal offenses that have occurred within the last 60 days. We encourage employees, faculty, and staff to visit the crime log to stay updated on what happens around where they live, work, or attend class. We also publish statistics through the annual security report each year. The Department of Education requires that it be published by October 1st every year. The ASR is posted on several campus websites, including the University Police Department, Human Resources, and Admissions. Making the ASR accessible on these sites emphasizes that this is a consumer protection law whose aim is to equip individuals with campus crime information that will help them decide where to work and where to attend school. We notify the campus community by email when the ASR becomes available. It is printable and downloadable through the emailed link, as well as on each of the mentioned websites. Hard copies are also available in the UPD upon request. Another way we publish campus crime information is through timely warnings. This is a time-sensitive requirement described under the law, although timely isn't defined by the law. When a crime covered by the Clery Act occurs, campus officials are required to evaluate if there is a serious or ongoing threat to the campus community to determine if a timely warning needs to be issued to all staff and students. If it is determined that a timely warning is necessary, we will send out the warning as soon as pertinent information is available about an incident. Institutions can do this by email, text, and social media, among other ways. Email continues to be the best practice method because it reaches the most people, and you cannot opt out of this method if you are associated with the university. Campuses widely define timely in their policies as anywhere from 2 days to 14 days from when an incident occurred. Some warnings may take longer to disseminate because it's not warranted until after a pattern of crime or for a short period of time has been identified. The goal overall is to have an institutional policy and follow it consistently in order to comply with the Clery Act. Timely warnings, if they are sent, include the incident that occurred, the general time and location of the incident, suspect information if it is available and will not impede an ongoing criminal investigation, and tips and resources for the campus community to aid in their general safety and the prevention of a similar crime. It will not include information that identifies a victim. We also use emergency notifications to inform the public of crimes, dangerous situations, or significant emergency events. It's similar to a timely warning, but disseminated much sooner and with more volume, often utilizing the sirens on campus and the large screen TVs that are located in various buildings across campus. In the event of an immediate significant danger to the health or safety of the campus community, for example, a weather event or a disease outbreak, campus officials may issue an emergency notification. This notification can include the entire campus or be limited to a specific area deemed to be at risk. Now we'll move on to discuss the risk of noncompliance with the Clery Act. These are headlines that were published after various institutions were found to inaccurately report campus crime statistics for various crimes. Some allegations against these schools were that they systemically mishandled and underreported student complaints of sexual misconduct. In addition, that they suppressed reports of sexual violence and sexual harassment. Close to home, the hunting ground was a documentary created after UNC Chapel Hill was investigated and found to have underreported complaints of sexual assault in their campus crime statistics. A major risk of noncompliance is damage to the reputation of the university in the community, such as with headlines like these. One of our goals is to accurately report campus crime statistics and preserve the school's reputation by promoting transparency and supporting reporting parties. Another risk of noncompliance is loss of federal funding and fines. The Department of Education recently increased the amount per violation this year to account for inflation. So the new amount is now at $67,544 per fine. The Department of Education monitors compliance in 3 ways, and that is through a response to a formally filed complaint, a media-driven review, and random audits. The amount of this penalty per violation can add up quickly and be detrimental to an institution's ability to remain solvent. In addition, we could lose federal funding for programs and assistance to students. This list shows past fine amounts for various colleges and universities when they are found to be noncompliant. These amounts add up quickly when an institution is found to be noncompliant with the Clery Act. Most of these amounts are settlement amounts rather than the total amount of fines per violation. For example, Montana was closer to $1 million when their fine per violation amount was totaled, but they ultimately settled for this amount, just under $400,000. Also, Michigan State University is one of the most well-known cases due to the time that Larry Nassar was the medical director with athletics. Most of you probably saw headlines related to the USA gymnastics and Olympic gymnasts who were sexually assaulted by Larry Nassar. During his time at Michigan State, he was found to have committed over 931 sexual assaults, many of which were reported by victims to campus security authorities, but either no action was taken by the CSA to report the offenses, or the CSA reported the information and no further action was taken by administration or authorities. As a result, Michigan State settled for $4.5 million, and they were required to amend their annual security report to reflect the 931 sexual assaults that occurred. Likewise, Penn State, in the Sandusky scandal, their fines were over $2 million. Closer to home, UNC Chapel Hill was fined $1.5 million in 2020 for their failure to accurately respond to and report sexual assaults that occurred on campus. They are still being monitored by the Department of Education to ensure ongoing compliance. Not only is failure to accurately report campus crime a violation of the Clery Act, but these are past findings by the Department of Education that have also resulted in noncompliance with the Act. One is a lack of overall administrative capacity. Another is a failure to have a timely warning policy, and then a failure to maintain an accurate and complete crime log are just a few of the ways programs can be noncompliant. We work to mitigate the risk of noncompliance with violations such as these by ensuring our policies remain updated and that we follow those policies. Also by keeping our crime log updated each business day and working across departments to engage key stakeholders on campus. Now that we have covered what the Clery Act is and the risk of noncompliance, we'll discuss what the Clery Act has to do with you and your role with the university. The Clery Act outlines that institutions must identify individuals and organizations that serve as campus security authorities. This term is specific to the Clery Act and encompasses 4 groups of individuals and organizations associated with the university. The first group is the University Police Department. The police department plays the largest role in Clery compliance because most offenses naturally are directly reported to the police department. From there, we're able to review reports and capture Clery crime statistics based on that firsthand information. Statistically, the police department is responsible for capturing 85 to 95% of Clery reportable incidents. Aside from the police department, we count on other groups on campus for the remaining statistics. Other groups that are considered campus security authorities includes any individual who is responsible for campus security. For example, this would include those contracted to provide campus security. Other individuals or organizations are those to whom students and employees would likely report criminal offenses. For example, an athletic coach or an advisor. Other individuals include those with the university who have significant responsibility for student campus activities, including those with student affairs, student conduct, and student housing. We provide Clery Act and CSA training to all new employees during new employee orientation and through ongoing training each year in order to remain compliant with this aspect of the law. The CSA designation attaches to a job role and not to an individual. So it is possible for you to be a CSA based on your current role now, but transfer to a new role that is not a CSA, and vice versa. In the event that you are a campus security authority and a student or employee discloses information to you that should be reported, you would utilize the CSA reporting form located on the University Police Department website. This is a screenshot of where the form can be found under the Clery Act tab on our website. Once you click on the link for the CSA form, you will arrive at this screen where you will follow the prompts to provide the information that was disclosed to you. While we typically ask that this form only be completed by someone who is certain that they are a CSA, we certainly don't want to deter someone who may not know their CSA designation from reporting information. Likewise, we do not want reporting parties trying to get bogged down in trying to figure out if information they received falls under Clery. So please err on the side of caution and report information, and then we'll decide if something is a Clery offense in order to capture it in our campus crime statistics. That concludes the training on the Clery Act.